Few things this week. I'll just take them in random order. But before I do that, do people want to make demos? I have a short demo, but Sébastien, do you have a demo?
I don't think so.
What?
What did I do? I did new activities on the workflow. Well, I can say what I did, and that's the demo. My status. So let's do that. Yeah, I do. Just looking. So I made an
taxonomies, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, also, but in order. So first I did a sign hole activity for the workflow. For instance, when user is created, you can assign a role by default. Then might be useful. So if you want, for instance, anyone who registers your website to have a contributor role, you can do that in the workflow. I created a close comments activity so that you could create a workflow which says in 30 days after a blog post is published, close its comments. I fixed a bunch of bugs with workflows. I also fixed some bugs in the content picker search tab. I improved and fixed WebDeploy from Visual Studio because I needed it, and so now it works.
You can say why you needed it.
Because we made a TekPub video with Bertrand and Rob Connery, and the last step was to publish the website we made. And so I fixed it so that it was just a one button pushed experience, published WebDeploy, and it's improved. So it was broken in 1.6 because I had added the media folder in the solution, and the script was also copying the media folder, so there was a conflict, and a bunch of people raised it on the issue tracker, including Zoltan. And also I improved the WebDeploy steps to update, to tweak the web config files, the sample config files, once they are copied into the temp folder. So when you deploy, it will configure automatically your website. It's like webconfig.release or webconfig transformation, but at Orchard's level, so that it uses the best practices for performance when deploy. So it worked fine. So it just publish and it works on Azure or wherever you want using WebDeploy. I fixed some bugs too. People are saying, yeah, I fixed some bugs too. For instance, JavaScript encoding bugs I saw on the issue tracker. Then Piotr worked on event bus performance. So we refactored things to use cached gates and indexed or keyed services for event handlers. So it should be faster or less slow than when you have lots of modules, menu items, and event handlers. Then Sipke fixed a bug for the menu widget, which was rendering the whole menu if your content item was not, well, the current page was not in the selected path. I also removed the transaction scope class usage from the ITransactionManager, and I also refactored ITransactionManager so that it uses nHibernate transactions. And there is also a new method called requireNew, which will initiate a new transaction, so a separate one if you need one, for instance, to make smaller transactions.
That's a big deal.
Yes. So, and I also, it's also more meaningful when you had previously you had a demand method on Transaction Manager, and the guy on the forum said that's not obvious what the demand does. Does it create a new transaction, or does it just ensures that there is one transaction? So now demand is just ensuring that there is one transaction, and require new will initiate a new one and commit the previous one or roll back if it was cancelled.
Is it breaking?
No, because it's a new method. Well, it will break people which have a custom implementation of ITransactionManager. And those guys, we don't care about breaking them because they will know what happens and they will fix it.
Okay.
Because if you create your own ITransactionManager, which can happen, for instance, if you wanted to use read uncommitted, for instance, you had to do that. I'm working on a solution to make it a setting, like in the settings.txt.
So I need to remove any implementation of ITransactionManager.
Yes, or do another one, tweak another one. It's not finished. I have to make some things parameterizable, so you don't even have to create your own ITransactionManager.
So what's this?
Have you updated the AutoFlash as well yet? Have you taken a look at that?
I told you there is a branch with that.
No, I know that, but there was a because I've been running fine on it for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I was wondering whether do you just need the config stuff put in?
I will merge, but I also need to fix the configuration files with the new AutoFac.
Okay. Yeah, I've been running it and it seems to be fine. So.
Yeah, but I have to run all the unit tests for this branch. I haven't.
Okay, I'll run them as well.
Sébastien, speaking about the transaction manager, I tested it a bit and I wrote you that it worked, but there is some weird behavior. When there is a lot of queries, it's painfully slow.
A lot of what?
There is a lot of queries going on simultaneously in a loop or something. It looks like there is some lock or deadlock on a database level, but it takes, I couldn't wait, I've been waiting for a couple minutes for a piece of code that usually runs, in a couple seconds without the changes. It never finished. And I also noticed that there are some the transaction was already disposed exceptions. So when the dispose is called on a transaction manager, there should be check if the transaction has already been disposed or tried to dispose or something. Yeah, because there is no check. There is no check for that.
I will run all the spec flow test and I'll discover these things, I think.
Yeah, okay. It sounds like a pretty scary change. I think we'll want lots of people to before we ship it. So can you summarize the benefits of the change?
It doesn't break with WebAPI. Or SignalR. Anything using async, await, or a task will work now, because there is a bad a bug, and we can say a bug in the implementation of the transaction scope, and which makes things break if you use a sync thing. And also it should enable the AutoFlash setting in the nHibernate, which should make the flush method useless.
Okay, so basically, so this will enable async and it will make ORN less grumpy.
It will also. It was something we had decided before ORN says this thing about flush. We still need the flush at some points because ORN doesn't know everything about everything.
Oh, yes, he does.
Yes, he does, sorry. So the issue is that we use SQL C by default, okay? So let me explain the whole story, because it's important to understand everything. That's crazy. So if you use begin transaction using an nHibernate, AutoFlash mode will be on. AutoFlash is about flushing automatically objects if an IBackground thinks that the query it is about to execute needs the previous object to be flushed. Example, you create a new object, and just right after you do a query using this type of object. So if you haven't flushed, flush meaning pushing the records on the DB. Okay, doesn't mean committing the transaction. Means pushing the records on the DB. Okay, so if you do the query without the previous records created pushed, you won't see this record. So an IBackground knows that and will flush automatically the previous waiting statements before running the select query. Okay, so this is the AutoFlash. There is still an issue, which is if you work in isolation level read committed, you are waiting for a transaction to be committed before being able to read results in the database. And SQL C only works with read committed. Okay. So sometimes you still have to commit the transaction before being able to read some things in another transaction.
Okay.
And forcing the flush method in our chart will do that. So I have some examples where you need the flush. You still need the flush call, even if there is AutoFlash.
Okay, but it should remove some of those calls.
Yes, but if you're all working on read uncommitted, then there is no issue. Just flushing, just AutoFlash will work because the net request will read the uncommitted, the not already committed changes.
I think flush originally got put in for me to deal with long-running imports of data, if I remember correctly.
For long-running reports, there are some other issues, which are there is flush issues, but there is also I explained it on the forum, the first level cache, which gets full of items that we might not want in memory. That's the issue.
Exactly.
And for this, there is a content manager.clear method, which will remove everything from the first cache, from the first level cache of an IBackground.
Okay.
And everything should be, and well, it will still be an issue with the new import method. It will be faster, but all the it's different. In the new import method, it will only load things that it needs. In the previous one, it was loading everything to find an identity, which could be crazy and load up the memory. There could still be an issue if the import was like huge, because it will still load everything. Okay, but yeah. This is a different issue. You see, you don't, yeah. Then you can, well, there is no issue to that. The only solution is to split the file into multiple things, but the split might be much bigger than the previous one. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff to understand.
We have a question in the chat about from Giscard. Will this have any effect on code I have that suppresses the ambient transaction to make, an external DB call, for example?
This should, if it was working, it should still work because there is no more ambient transaction. So if you do a require new, there will be a require new on the transaction scope. That doesn't matter, but might be easier now because you don't need anymore the require new.
Right, but do you need to change your code to?
No, what I say is that it should work because there is no more transaction scope. So the current code that they have to type, there is require new on transaction scope to suppress the previous transaction scope. Okay.
Because currently it's using transaction code.suppress.
Oh, so if you do suppress and there is no one, okay.
What will happen?
I don't know.
We need to test that because we've recommended people do that for external database access all the time. So
Giscard will test it.
Yeah, please let us know. That will be very useful. Okay.
So this was for transaction. Then I added the build archive command for blogs. I still have to import all the commands from I don't know his name, from Twitter, who made a lot of comments for blogs. And then this morning I was fixing JSON.NET to be able to invoke iConvertible on J values. Yeah, just for projections, fixing bugs. That's it.
Okay. Great.
J values are the abstract value for a JSON graph when you use JSON.NET. And projection, well, workflow uses it indirectly, and projections too. It's a new I'm switching to JSON.NET to handle dynamic trees because we save them in JSON, and it surfaces some conversion issues because it's using dynamic but it doesn't handle iConvertible. So I'm implementing it in JSON.NET and trying to use this version in Orchard.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I made a blog post this week about default tenant configuration. I wanted to call people's attention to that. If you're using multi-tenancy, I think it's important that you set up your default tenant so that it does have a configured host URL, so that a request is never handled by a tenant that it isn't intended for. The scenario is the following: you have several tenants on your server, and one of those tenants fails to load for whatever reason. Then the risk is that the site will fall back to the default tenant. By configuring a host URL for the default tenant, you're suppressing that behavior and you're preventing that fallback from happening. So most of the time, in almost all situations, you do not want that fallback to happen. So if you have multi-tenancy, please check your configuration for the default tenant and set it up with a host URL. So Red copied the link to the post in the chat. What else did I have? Yeah, you mentioned that IBackgroundtask is no longer an event handler. This is a breaking change, right?
Nope.
It's not?
Because people were using IBackgroundtask. If you implement IBackgroundtask, it will resolve them directly instead of going through the message bus. But you still have, and you did, implement IBackgroundtask.
Okay, cool.
So IBackgroundtask is no more. Well, I made a change, but it sounds familiar. But let me check. IBackgroundtask. Yes, it's no more an event handler. Yeah.
Well, technically, that's breaking, right?
Yes, if people were sending messages to the bus to invoke IBackgroundtask, it could be breaking change. But
yeah, we probably
I've never seen that.
We probably need to call it out in release notes or something. Okay. Stanley Goldman created comments for roles.
That's what yeah. Oh, that was not for blogs. That was for roles. Yes, I told him that I would import it in core.
Okay, great. Okay.
And I also worked on a taxonomy module, fixing lots of bugs.
Okay.
And adding also token for. Yeah, but I told it last time. I think yes, terms, things like that. Yeah.
There was yet another question about cross-tenant data that I got on my blog post about multi-tenancy, and I was thinking maybe it would be a good idea to revisit that scenario that lots of people have been asking for. You know, having some kind of shared data across tenants, because lots of people are using multi-tenancy in the context where it's a federation of sites and there is some common data. I was thinking maybe with now that WebAPI is working, we could revisit that somehow and explore what we could do with the idea. What do you think?
I'm not sure. Maybe. So what data do they want to share? Usually it's users. Is there any other thing?
Well, yeah, there is users. I wasn't thinking about that particular case. I know that people want it, but I'm not sure that it's reasonable. Because, well, the difficulty here, as I understand it, is that potentially your tenant data is stored in different databases. So you won't be able to do joins, or it's never going to work as seamlessly as the tenant's data. And in the case of users, well, I suppose you could have a federated authentication of sorts, and some people are probably already doing that. So I'm not sure there is something that we need to fix here. I think
maybe just if you have a federated user module.
Yeah, that should work today, right?
Yes.
No, I was more talking about common data. I don't know. You have tables that you want to use over all tenants.
So maybe it's more about replication, yeah, and
maybe, yeah,
and also using the import-export to synchronize data. So when it's updated on one tenant, it's replicated on the other ones.
Yeah, so it's an interesting topic. People need that
and it might also be the subject of a broader module about data synchronization.
Yes.
And using the new WebAPI and endpoints from Damien, and configure them as a cluster, and they will synchronize automatically.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so let's keep that in mind if and when we include that code into core for deployments. And yeah, let's keep that scenario in mind. It's not just deployment across instances that are on different servers. It can also be about deploying data in a more sharing scenario. Okay.
Git for Charles.
I also, distributed content management of sorts. I had a question about OWIN. There's a lot of talk about OWIN, about making sites run on a linear layer of web servers. Yep. Can you give us an update on that and how it affects Orchard?
Orchard is fully dependent on System.Web.
But are there plans in MVC to make
what do I? So I'm filtering what I know, what I can say. No. So WebAPI is working. I think it's the same issue for ASP.NET MVC. ASP.NET MVC has lots of dependency on System.Web. And System.Web can't be shipped with OWIN. So having a dependency on System.Web is having a dependency on the full stack of ASP.NET, which means OWIN is almost useless then, because it's the same thing. That's running ASP.NET. Singular has done that to remove all dependencies from System.Web. Actually, they are not removing dependencies; they are abstracting it. Okay, so System.Web is just an implementation of this abstraction, but if you go on Mono, you can use something else. Okay, and so we have to analyze how much dependent we are on System.Web and how we can abstract it. But it's the same thing but we are using MVC, so MVC is also still dependent on System.Web. So we'll have to wait for MVC to...
Right, but it looks like this is the logical next step to make sure that MVC can run on OWIN. It sounds like a no-brainer for Microsoft, even if it's complicated.
Well, you don't know
That's my
Yeah,
my opinion. It's not.
But you don't know if they want to go this way.
I don't know.
What would be the advantage for Microsoft?
Well,
if there is a reason to do that.
Yeah, I would want to go this way, but yeah, you are right that I have no idea what their motivation is.
But you and manager might have different opinions.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, okay. I thought I would ask. And yeah, so this popped up this morning actually, but it's not the first time we have this
Next
problem.
time Elon is on the call, ask him.
Yeah, he's not?
Yeah, today no. Because he owns MVC and he knows everything about OWIN, so, and WebAPI too, he knows WebAPI, he owns a WebAPI. So
okay, so we can embarrass him next time we see him and try to force.
And he will have much more interesting answers than me.
Okay. Next question is about admin placement. Today, if you add fields to a type, then that field is going to appear in your admin summary by default. And the only way to remove it is to go into the placement file of the admin theme, which is not a very clean way of doing that. So we could do several things to fix that. We could add a setting on the field so that it doesn't appear in admin placement, but that doesn't feel right. It's not very orchardy. So you mentioned this morning.
It's too much orchardy.
You think?
It's when I say it's too much, it's again some settings just to change the color of the border of the first paragraph, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
it's a setting installation. It does sound like a hack, yes. So, well, the problem here is that we need to fix placement pretty much, right?
No, improve ways of placing things. Placement is beautiful, but there are many ways to... No, we don't want to fix placement. Placement is there, it's perfect. We need to fix configuration points for placement.
Okay.
I didn't make it, so no, no, we need placement. We just need different ways to provide placement information.
Yes.
Because today it's complex. Like widgets, yeah, widgets are beautiful, but we are using widgets at page level, and we know it's just about having the layout at the page level instead. So.
Okay.
So fixing placement, so improving placement configuration. Okay.
Do we have a bug to track that?
We made one.
Okay, who can open it? I could, but I was going to switch to my demo. So, somebody please do it. That says improve placement.
By the way, I have a general comment. Antoine, how are you doing? Because we haven't heard you for a long time. Usually you answer first, you give heads up and... It's fine. You even write modules sometimes. Fix bugs. Look, Piotr is more active than you on our charm. Okay, so you can go on, Bertrand.
Yeah, it should be a short one.
Bug.
I think it's quite useful. What?
Did you need me to open that bug that you just mentioned?
I'm working on that.
He was doing it.
All right. Cool.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, so I've shown the tree module previously. A tree view of instance in the admin, so you can deploy it from anywhere.
We call it the Umbraco module.
Yeah, pretty much. And what's interesting is that this hierarchy here is completely extensible. You can create your own providers that nodes into that tree. And here I have one for content types and I have one for taxonomies.
Can you see it, Benedict?
Loading.
Yep.
Can you wait?
It's okay for
Okay.
me.
Pretty cool. It works for people who like tree views. Still, for people who manage a lot of contents, it's not completely ideal. So I improved it and I added a tree menu item here, and it presents the same information, but like an Apple kind of finder. So you can explore your content here, and you can switch to different branches of your content tree, and you can go directly to them to edit it. It's a very, very fast way to navigate your contents from the admin, which is something that people who manage a lot of content need to do. I was going to make a window smaller so that I can show if you have a small window, because it's kind of cool. So there are actually animations. Well, because I'm sharing my screen, you probably didn't see the animation, but it's behaving the way you would expect here, and animating the content to the left as you navigate. That's it.
So I was thinking, when we have lots of content, so here you provide data-driven categories. Sometimes I just want to create my own folders. And like I arrange my files and put it in recent articles, or put it in favorites and put it in
Well, I tend to use taxonomies for that. But yeah, you could create any kind of categorization mechanism you prefer, and create a small piece of code that inserts that into that tree. It's really super easy.
Maybe it's just about a summary admin shape, which put this in this one, and Well, I
haven't published that version yet, but I will do it later today.
And what if it was integrated into the content view? So, first, why didn't you inject it as a tab in the content page?
That's what I did at first, but it's one more click. I've discussed it with a heavy Orchard user, and
I don't trust them.
He preferred it that way, and I prefer it that way too. Actually, I almost never go to the content tab anymore. I use the tree now directly to navigate. It just works better. Have I tried this? Space tree? There are no trees in space. What is that?
That's
it's a nice JavaScript library for building.
No, I have not tried that. Okay,
this one is cool.
That's fancy, but I don't think it's applicable here. I mean, it's kind of the same navigation idea, but it's wasting space on the lines, and I don't think I need that. But thanks. Any other demos today? Bertrand, you said earlier that you don't like trees in backends. No, I don't like them, but people wanted a tree view, so I built one. Because I'm like that, I like to please people, it's by nature. No, but now I'm actually happy. What I like is that Finder like navigation, which is not a tree. It's a lot easier to use than a tree, and it's a lot faster. Now I don't use well, I never really used the tree. I made it for other people, but I would use it even less. What I do is that I keep a window open on that view of the site, and I shift-click on it to open in a new tab. Or is it Control-click? Yeah, shift-click is new window. Control-click is new tab. Yep. So if we don't have any other demos, we can do triage. Yeah.
Maybe labels, like in Gmail.
Labels? How are they different from tags?
No, they are tags, but I mean they have a different semantic meaning. Tags is for content. Labels will be for organization. It's the tags module, but another part. You may see that.
I don't know. Why don't you use a taxonomy?
Because it's part of the content again. I don't want it to be reflected as as a content item part, more as a administration part. So yeah, this is also because taxonomy will be seen when you edit the content. Okay, the content item. I don't even want to see it when I edit the content item. Just when I'm.
Why not?
Well, you could, but not as a taxonomy, not the same way. I want to drag and drop things. To tag things, like in a Gmail, you drag and drop
actually, yes. I was going to say if I had one request in the taxonomy module, it would be for a way to paint terms onto items.
You see? Same way, but so for this thing, actually, I would prefer it to organize my content. It's just another dimension for your tree, but a way to tag my content to find it again easier.
Yeah, I don't know. I would really still do it in taxonomy.
You can. Just another module for your tree.
Yeah. If people want to manage their content that way.
Because taxonomies make sense also in your tree. Yeah, I want to find all my content tagged with that. Boom. Because using taxonomy, you also expose it on the front end. Sometimes
not necessarily.
Well, it is. If there is taxonomy, there is a route, and you type it, and boom.
Well, you should be able to suppress that.
Well, we'll see. Okay.
Okay. Triage. Can you share your screen?
You see, Giscard agrees with me.
Okay, well, you guys feel free to implement something, and if you do, I will implement the tree provider for it.
I have to share. So today I'm trying to share my primary monitor. We'll see how it goes. Proposed update date.
So is there any more news about Orchard at Microsoft? Is there any more interest?
No.
Internally? Oh, okay.
Why would there be?
Because you said that some guy asked you whether.
Yeah, I like every day, but then they go to Umbraco. Just kidding. No, they're trying it, and that's it. People are trying Orchard every day. Tens of people. And tens of new websites every day. So, tenant with MySQL database breaks when changing tenant settings. Okay.
But we are not. Oh yeah, we are supporting MySQL. I thought this was SQLite for some reason. Okay.
Okay, that's possible. Okay, I try that. Maybe I missed the settings configuration in the tenants page.
Okay.
Widgets are not published.
Who was the guy who opened this?
Sorry?
Who was the guy who opened this?
This issue? Some guy.
Yeah, that's not a very good bug
Well,
title. You should tell that guy that.
I think that should be fixed with Piotr changes on widgets, because if he implemented draft, he needs to call publish and everything. So
Okay.
I open it because it's an issue. It's an issue. I don't remember why it's an issue. There was, yeah, maybe when I tried to register some events, I saw that it was not. Oh, I didn't see even my comment in my comment. Okay.
Have we pulled the widget publishing stuff in? Is Piotr's widget publishing stuff in our...
Yeah, I will, but not yet. It's not done.
Okay. It's just, yeah, I'd like to have a look at that, the UI of it. It's great that it works, but I think we can improve on the UI.
Yeah, UI.
It's not very intuitive.
Oh yeah, UI has to
Yeah,
to
UI.
have some love.
HTML menu item. HTML menu item with no body part could be created, which results in an exception. With HTML menu item with no body part. The HTML menu item has a body part, so why would it?
So someone's probably removed it, haven't they?
Well, okay, it shouldn't crash.
No, HTML with no body could be created. No, you can't create a HTML. No, it's. Go to edit, add a couple of fields, and delete all. No, I'm sorry, you don't do that. That's not a bug. You are breaking it. Create your own content type with your own parts, but don't break a content type which has parts. It's
And
like,
then, and
sorry,
then
but
it will work even if it doesn't have a.
if you remove the blog post part from a blog post, the blogs module won't work anymore, because the blog post needs a blog post part by definition.
Okay, so he should be creating a new menu item
Yes.
type. Zoltan, you don't manage a community just yet.
Yeah, of course, I was very curious.
Get request theme using theme name instead of ID. Okay, but the get extension function expects okay, yeah, maybe. So maybe.
What's the scenario here?
So apparently the method expects a name, expects an ID.
But uses it as an ID?
Yeah, it's mixing the name and the ID. It happens in our chat that all our themes have the same ID as the theme name. And we are not checking the correct property, I think, so we have to fix it. I'm not sure. Let me see. Have a join almost all content queries in our channel have a join the content type table that is queried by name. Using an in operator, when there is only one type, it will be considerably more efficient. But
Who raised this?
I did.
So what you mean is that when we do the filter on the type, it's using an in by default?
Yeah.
Okay. And there is a patch attached? Oh no, there isn't. Package publish settings in risk set configuration. Right click on package publish settings. Expected items to deploy is set to all files.
Was this maybe that WebDeploy stuff that you were looking at?
Yes.
So it may be fixed, right?
No, yeah, so two things. So items to deploy all files in this. He expects all files in this project folder, which I don't agree. This one I could agree. Exclude generated debug symbols. We could say yes. Okay. Okay, submit. Active 1.7. Put future, but okay.
You're missing a flash. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. This might be a duplicate, actually.
This was an old one, but it's on per field basis. It's possible that those are modules field, gallery fields. They have not been updated. You see image field and file field. The idea is that when you have a driver like the text field settings, text field settings. This one, if you don't do this, it will add the settings for all the fields. And this was fixed in for 1.6 or 1.5, something like that. And if the modules on the gallery don't do that, then they are adding the settings for everything. So, okay.
What's part field editor? I haven't seen that before.
What?
Part field editor. That's something.
That's
new.
when you do a field. Just try to implement a field. You will see it.
Okay.
Drop signal R and try to do some things.
No, I like it so much.
Um,
I'm going to implement something called Yabba 2 and see if I can rival Fowler.
Okay, I activate it because it's part of the improvements from Tan programmer or something like that, who made some commands for the roles module. He also made the import export for the roles, which will import export permissions. Can't use custom display type to layout in it. Huh? So build display summary bug can mean content items. Yeah, place information second only from placement info of the module when the part is declared in the controller module. I had to read Pro, but that's weird. Create a column, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I used to work with that guy. You can close. You can close this.
I wasn't asking for a permission to close it.
It was me being stupid. I only realised about a week ago, even though it was opened. Even though it was from December the 18th. So.
Here you can you can apply Zoltan's template to close
What?
it. The previous bug you could apply Zoltan's template.
He's got a template. I'm not aware of this template.
Yeah, it's in the chat.
It's a workflow.
So this one, great idea. Let's revise our
No, the one below that.
Below. Oh fuck, copy paste. Standalone
Are you to this
percent
copy
title
pasting thing, Sébastien?
causing invalid URL. Yeah. Bad. By the way, should we? Well, if you had dots in a title, I think it should be escaped to, replaced by a dash too.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, dots are problematic because they can transform into extensions which map to MIME types and
Datetime field saving and retrieving different results. That's wrong. It's so much tested that it can't happen. There are two issues here. One is fixed, and another I don't know how to fix. When I know some datetime field, it can be added, but then the field does not reappear for that content type. I have isolated this. The type thing is installed as no. An issue. I cannot understand why when I enter datetime it doesn't display in a different. Oh, that's that. Yeah. Oh. I have stepped through the code for 2 hours. I know that I understand how to convert time to UTC from UTC. Well, this is wrong. So he says that does not reappear for that content type. Okay, I'll try to look at it. So this one is wrong. Okay, this is intent. So the idea is that when you enter a date time in a field, it takes it as if it was local. And when I say local, it's based on the time zone setting for the website. So even if I am on PST, I could say I am on, I don't know, East Coast time, okay? And when I enter things, it's based on East Coast time. But it's saved as UTC. So instead of applying a -8, it will apply a -5. Okay, based on UTC. So if tomorrow I decide to change back to PST, it will show the time in West Coast. So with -8. So we refer to this as the same origin for the time. So this is completely valid. What he says is that there is a flow in the load save that loses the kind. I don't know, check. But there are unit tests for that, lots of them. So that's the bug below snippet because it's following error. Okay, close. Issue when is in time only field in JavaScript errors and time only field. Okay.
It looks like he's got a fix as well. That's
What?
what I read.
What? This one?
It looks like he's got a fit. Oh, okay.
It was fixed.
No, it says he had a fix. He provided a fix.
Yes. Doesn't mean Azure package stage command listing correct file name. I will check that. By the way, there is also Azure SDK 1.8 position element networking.
I think I raised an issue for the SDK.
Related placement. No matter what order value I use for the placement position value, the output still under the same order. I think I know the issue. It should be the same. I don't agree, Bertrand. Did you read your answer?
Yeah, I did.
So
did you try it recently?
yeah, I don't say it's not broken. I just say this is the same position. This is the same position property.
No, because I don't think so. Because when you inject a shape directly, you're using with the API, the add API. It inserts them directly into that shape.
Into the zone. Yep.
Whereas
the widget filter is doing the same, doing add to using a filter. I can show you the code. I know it. Oh. Wait.
Yeah, so that will work for widgets.
Look, this is what the widget does. It takes exactly what we do.
So here is a scenario where it doesn't work. If you use placement,
okay,
then
which does
try to inject a shape using that API, you would have to drill down into the content zone.
What is possible though is that he has overridden the zone template, which is probable. He has his own theme, you see, and oh look, there is a zones folder. Okay, and if you override the zone template, you lose the order hack method.
I see.
And nothing will be ordered by position, just by order of insertion, and this will explain the bug. And this is something I have in my to-do list to have this behavior of order hack into the shape zone itself. So you don't have to define it again. It's by default a zone. When it will render, it will first order things by position. So I think this is the issue. And
that zones folder, they looked empty.
No. It doesn't look empty. There is no subfolders. It doesn't look empty. You see? This thing is when there are subfolders. Doesn't mean there is no file inside.
Normally there's an arrow on the left hand side if there's no files inside the zones folder.
No. And the zones could be in views too. I put my zone file in views. And the first thing I do is a zone.cshtml, which removes every tagging on the zone because I don't care about the 10 tags it generates. I'm not sure. No, get setting should not load all parts at once. We should use a document DB. The attached part.
Like saying, well, we'll use caching to mask the problem.
Also, if you use second level caching, there will be no issues too, right?
Yeah.
Content picker widget. What is this?
Sibka?
Yeah, if I recall correctly, it's a way to drop a widget onto a zone and have a piece of content be rendered by that widget. So it allows you to render any content item in the form of a widget using the content picker.
Why in core? Because it's just about creating a widget type, adding a content picker, and a CSS/HTML file to render it. And you could even add a property which is which display type do you want to use, and it will display all the content items in this display type.
Sure, it doesn't have to be core.
I did it for the website I helped on. I did it for I did exactly it. I did exactly it, but as a custom widget. Just to show you, I have this thing. It's a widget where you pick the articles you want to see on the home page, and it renders them at summary.
I see.
So
so you did it as part of a custom module?
I don't even make a module. I just in the website, as part of the website itself, I created a widget called Articles and Advice,
right?
And injected the widget at the correct location, added the content picker, and that's it.
I think that the fork I created also, it's just using a migration to create those content types and configurations.
We'll create a module which does it, but
maybe it's nice to have such a widget as part of the content picker.
Issue is that for each widget you will want different properties. Maybe you will want, I don't know, another property for the color of the border. It's stupid things, but or you want to be able to filter which content types, because the content picker can do it now, and you want to say like just articles. You see, you want a widget with just articles, so you want the user to be able to only select articles. So that's very specific features. Maybe. So,
what's wrong with having this as a module on the gallery?
You can do it as a module. I don't think it should be a module actually. I think it's like. I will go.
Oh, you mean it's even just a matter of configuration?
It's for me. It's just configuration. That would be like, oh, I want a module to create content types with a default content type with a default field, or create.
Right. Well, if Sibka thinks he wants to do it as a module, I mean it's his choice.
Yeah. Yeah, as he said, he can do a migration for that. But yeah.
Sure.
But I'd rather like a nice blog post or documentation topic how to do things like that. Or a book.
It's true. It would offer more flexibility if you understand how to do that using the admin. Like you said,
yes.
There you can add more modules. That may be more worthwhile to do.
Yeah, that you know, in Orchard we have lots of Orchard patterns. How to do it in Orchard? Oh, let's see at what Orchard can let you do. So we need Orchard design patterns. Patterns to lots of like. Tool belt, I need to do that, how do I do? Or did you think about this solution which lets you do that? You know, the other way around.
And what's your design patterns?
Yes. Or chart website patterns or something like that. Yeah. So I will close it, okay?
Okay.
Nothing against you, just against this.
Of course.
Why, of course? I could have something against you.
I don't expect that you would have. But it's good,
lots of
in
things.
theory.
So, next... it lost advanced view. refactor properties dictionary of iMessage Manager to string object. Yes, you asked the question, is there a reason why it's string instead of string object?
Is there?
Well, I answer no, I didn't see anything.
Yeah, that was your answer, and I changed it, and it worked. There were no problems, at least not with core modules.
Okay. Well, I have some issues with the whole module itself. We should change this module. We can't cache content items.
You can't cache content
We
items.
never cache content
I'm
items.
not suggesting you cache content items.
I read Content Manager will not pay a lot more by querying all the content type names the first time. And okay, so what you suggest
content
is
type names. Not. What I'm suggesting is that we have a map of the content type names to content types that is as long-lived as the shell.
no, but what is a content type? When you say a map from names to content type, a content type is this thing? This is a content item. This is a record. Okay, sorry. We can cache any record.
You can cache the information from that record.
Okay, so what do we want to cache here?
I don't want that lookup to happen every time.
Yes, but content item record dot content type. So what can we cache? We ask the content item, what is your type name?
Oh, so you're saying the lookup for the actual content type you want to cache?
Content
Oh,
type.
yeah.
Content type is a record. Again,
That's what you're talking about, right?
can cache it. The only way to cache it is second level caching.
Why is content type a...
No, because-
And
Okay, so content type is a record. Okay.
yes.
Um,
So
but the set of content types is something that only changes if you define
Yes.
a new one or edit one. In that case, the share restarts, right?
but here, this line of code
Yeah,
says,
but you know the problem is that when you do the new call, inside it does a lookup for the content type in a database.
yes.
It's not about this parameter, but what happens under the hood.
Exactly.
It does the lookup every time.
And I raised that issue because it was having a substantial impact on performance on a profile.
So what can be done is when we load a content item, we also like do a query int, but we prefetch the content type record because we know that will be it. Well, it's on new, so it's different.
Well, you only need its ID if you have a map from IDs to names.
We can cache it at the request level though.
Well, I'll leave the implementation details to you. The thing is that that lookup here is costing time, and I think it should be fixed. So
Yeah, with a document DB.
I'm not quite there yet.
Remove iRoute point get routes.
Yeah, I tend to agree. That will be a breaking change though, won't it?
Yeah, but breaking no one, like the transaction manager. Yeah, because routes have been removed in 1.3. So, content permission for HTML widget.
Yeah, actually, permissions, content permission doesn't work for any widgets. There is a separate connection for that.
Because we don't have. Why is that? It doesn't appear, or it's not? Oh, it's not applied because it's not using the same controller, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's related to the issue, which is why do we have a specific controller for widgets? Okay, yeah. It's also part of the same work on widgets and.
I just pasted the link for the generate issue here.
Do you do some work on the page here?
Well, there is a patch. I'll apply it. Yeah, I saw that too. I will analyze it. I'm not sure. Maybe it's intended.
Yeah, we don't know where that placement file is.
Maybe it's in the custom forms viewer. No, I'll look at that. Site owner permission required to display content picker. Ooh.
Didn't we see that one 5 minutes ago?
What?
Oh, okay. Content picker.
I don't like that site owner permission. I really don't like it.
You don't like site owner permission?
No, I think we should be a bit more granular in places.
Nope. You don't like it because you don't know why we have it, and if we have it, there is a very specific reason. The reason is we apply things to site owner permission if something can, if you can, how
if
do you
it
say?
enables elevation of privilege.
Yes, elevation of privilege. That's what.
But in places we do if statements on the site owner permission when we shouldn't be doing if statements on the site owner permission. It seems to be a catch-all, and that's what I don't like about it. I don't mind.
You need to be specific. You need to show a specific example.
I'll have to track it down. I have got a couple.
It's lunchtime.
Yeah. Can we go to 1:30 and stop then? You want to stop now?
I have a meeting at 2 o'clock. I have to go grab something.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we worked a lot.
Cool. Cheers, guys.
Thanks,
Cheers,
everyone. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.